The recent Abrego Garcia case has me thinking a lot about the clear divide we have in this country. It has me thinking about where are we headed as a country. On one side, you have people fighting to bring an illegal back to the United States, claiming he's a victim of injustice. On the other side, you have people labeling him as a national security threat with ties to terrorist groups like MS-13. So what are we supposed to do? How do we make sense of this? How do we dig deeper into the facts and weigh the bigger picture of illegal immigration? How do we really ask the tough questions? Should he be returned? Is fairness to an illegal more important than fairness to an American? Are we truly grasping the deep impacts of unchecked immigration? Well, let's look at these questions and more from the right angle. So, the Abrego Garcia saga has exposed an obvious clear divide. So, Democrats, as I see it, are driven by one thing, so called compassion for this Maryland man. But I also think there is more power at play here that we'll get into later. They paint Kilmar Garcia as a hardworking family guy. You know, he's lived in Maryland for over a decade. He came here illegally in 2011. He married a U.S. citizen, and he had three kids with special needs. He worked as a sheet metal worker, most likely under the table. They claim he was deported to a brutal prison in El Salvador, the Terrorism Confinement Center, CSOT, which he was, but I will take the brutal off of there. And they say he was tortured daily and not given any food, although later he emerged and drank margaritas with a sitting U.S. senator, so I guess he's okay. They say the evil Trump administration targeted him because he's brown skin, racism, phobias, this and that. And that's normal stuff. But the interesting thing is the Supreme Court has recently ordered a return, kind of a return. Here's the catch. So SCOTUS, unlike the legislative and the executive branch, has no jurisdiction over foreign affairs. Their power stops at the U.S. border. Their order to facilitate his return relies on the administration's actions. And with El Salvador refusing to release him and the administration unwilling to bring back a potential threat, little is being done to do this as I think it should be. But let's hear what a prominent Democrat who actually traveled to El Salvador has to say about this.
Congresswoman Maxine Dexter here, coming to you from El Salvador. I flew here last night with three of my colleagues to demand that Kilmar Abrego Garcia be released. He is being held in violation of a Supreme Court order expressly telling the Trump administration to effectuate and facilitate his coming home. That is being ignored. This is not just a threat to all people in the United States who could be illegally abducted, detained, and transported internationally against their will. But it is a fact that our president does not recognize the branches of government and the balances of power. This is what we all have been calling a constitutional crisis, yet it is more severe than anything we've seen. We cannot stay silent. We must stay loud. I am here because I refuse to wait for something to happen. We are here to release Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
You've got a U.S. senator, you got this House member here, and you also have other Democrats that are flying to or have flown to El Salvador. They're fighting harder for these illegals than I've ever seen Democrats fight for anything. Did they fight this hard for Laken Riley? Did they fight this hard for Jocelyn Naguri or Rachel Morin? These are Americans that were killed by illegals amongst the hundreds and thousands that we have. Do they fight this hard for struggling neighborhoods? What about American families needing support? Did they fight for Los Angeles? Did they fight for Maui or East Palestine? Did they fight for North Carolina? No. But they are all fighting for this Salvadorian native. The question is why? So their logic, they lean on this 2019 withholding of removal order, claiming Abrego Garcia can't be deported to El Salvador due to gang threats against his life, even though Garcia kind of reneged on that. But that order doesn't make him a citizen. That order doesn't make him a legal resident. It just limits where he can be deported to. He could be deported to Egypt or the Philippines, just not El Salvador. And let's not ignore his record. Two domestic abuse cases that were taken back by his wife, which speaks to his character. Then there's the tattoo on his hand that I'm showing you here. Obviously, the MS-13 part is not what's tattooed. It's just meant to show you what the symbols mean. But you see it here. And let's talk about MS-13, this quiet little innocent terrorist group, right? So they operate in this kind of like decentralized groups they call cliques. And within those cliques, you're going to have like your normal sort of hierarchy. You have, the main guy, you have the second in command, you have the enforcer, you have the minions, and then you have additional groups, which is where Mr. Garcia falls. These are kind of like affiliates, and for the MS-13 game, they call them Chiqueos. I might be saying that wrong, but basically, these are entry level affiliates, and what they're trying to do is earn their way into the gang. So even in the affiliate part, there's three different levels. A Chiqueo is the highest level of affiliates who are trying to earn tattoos through criminal acts. Those tattoos are your access, right? And you don't get those tattoos without gang approval, which means you have to do said activities. This guy was caught with a ringleader of a local clique. He has the tattoos signifying that he has done the things to earn it. He has the United States Department of Justice, local police, lawyers, judges, the El Salvadorian president, DHS, informants, all kinds of people that are saying that this guy is MS-13, and plus, boom, he has the physical representation of the gang in which you can't get the tattoo unless you are doing crimes. So he is MS-13, and with Trump designating MS-13 as a terrorist organization, that makes him a terrorist. Again, police reports, informant tips, and multiple judgments. He's been into the justice system and seen 17 judges over the time that he's been here since 2011. 17 judges. I would say it's pretty damn good due process. Yet Democrats want to bring him back to our country. Well, let's hear what the Trump administration's take is on this.
Chances are of him returning with a terrorist.
I judge them to be quite low, Jesse. The Senator Van Hollen seems to be under the very confused impression that this MS-13 terrorist is his constituent. He is President Bukele's constituent. He is President Bukele's citizen. He is President Bukele's resident. He is not a Maryland man. He is not a Maryland anything. He is an illegal alien from El Salvador with a deportation order from the United States. He is not legally even allowed to be in our country. Under the due process that these Democrats so venerate for illegal invaders, it is legally impermissible for him to have one more minute in this country. So we honored the law and obeyed the law by getting him out of this country. And if the entire Democrat Party was to work itself into a state of emotional hysteria to demand the return of illegal gang members and terrorists to our shores, then that 21% will soon be 15, and then it'll be 11, and then all they'll have left is the support of actual confirmed MS-13 members, and that will be the entire base of the Democrat Party.
But Miller, he's wearing a Bulls hat. I mean, he was just a guy from El Salvador, huge Bulls fan, and that's the only thing they have on the guy.
Yes, there was an elaborate conspiracy from the Prince George's County Police Department to label him correctly as an MS-13 gang member so that President Trump would then deport him 10 years later. The simple reality is that the police said he was an MS-13 gang member. One immigration judge said he was an MS-13 gang member. ICE said he was an MS-13 gang member. Another immigration judge said he was an MS-13 gang member. And his president, who is not Donald Trump, his president is Bukele, says that he is, again, a confirmed MS-13 gang member. Everyone who knows anything about MS-13 has said that he is a member of that organization.
So the administration is clear. Abrego Garcia, by all accounts, is a verified member of a terrorist group, MS-13. But let's play devil's advocate. Suppose he's not MS-13. Let's just say he is a Maryland man, like the Democrats say, and he's just fleeing gang violence. He's just an innocent guy. He wants to be eligible for asylum. Okay. So some argue his fear of persecution justifies his protection here, and deporting him to a dangerous prison like CSOT in El Salvador is inhumane. Okay. So, but let's strip that down. He's still an illegal alien. He still has a couple of deportation orders. And what does that mean? If he's brought back, especially with his high profile now, he'll face deportation again. He may not go to El Salvador, but he'll go somewhere else. And that somewhere else will most likely get him back to El Salvador. So he's not a citizen. He's not staying here legally. So why the fight from the Democrats? I'll tell you why. This has absolutely nothing to do with Abrego Garcia. Nothing at all. This is what the Democrats want. They want to clog the system. They let in these millions of illegals to flood our country. Each one, by definition of 8 USC section 1325, is in fact a criminal. So their presence here isn't just, oh, they're just looking for economic, help. It's not harmless. They're unvetted. We don't know who's a threat. They're unregistered. They're dodging accountability. They take under the table jobs, which hurts them and undercuts American workers, and also drives more exploitation of their own people, which doesn't make any sense to me. They clog emergency rooms with no insurance, making you wait longer and pay more. Their kids strain our school systems, pulling teachers away from actual citizens because there are language barriers, and they have to bring more teachers to do the ESL stuff. They drive up housing and food prices. Rents are up significantly, especially among border states, but all over the United States because the entire country is a border state now. They cause unreported wrecks, hiking up your insurance rates. And yes, some of them commit murder, fraud, theft, and other crimes often hidden by these sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties, sanctuary states. All this is because they're here illegally and they're skipping the line of legal immigrants who play by the rules. Some say their crime rates are lower than actual citizens, or that the voter fraud that they do is rare. But obviously, new information is coming out that Democrats are cheating, like the video I did about the 1.3 million illegals on Medicare and Medicaid and getting Social Security numbers, and more are being found every day. So every illegal's crime, when you look at the totality of their presence here, is a strain amongst the system. So this argument that they're harmless is not true at all. It cannot be true. It must not be true. Every illegal is a criminal by entry, and their presence disrupts our system from the very housing and food we eat to the crime and murder that we see on the streets. So we cannot consider their presence just a mere harmless act of a desperate immigrant coming here. And what the Democrats want to do, I guess my point is that they want to say, okay, well, we clog the system if we win this fight, and then every judgment is going to go our way, meaning that the mass deportation promise is going to be significantly reduced, meaning that their plans to add in these illegals is going to come to fruition because it's going to allow them to, in their sanctuary city states where they protect them, it's going to allow them to actually bring in more illegals, get them on rolls, make them more official. You already saw in New York, they tried to make 800,000 illegals, or as they call them, non-citizens, eligible for voting. This is in the papers. You can read it yourself. You've seen the things that we've seen around the country with the folks getting the Social Securities or using Social Securities of old people. Do you think that the Social Securities of those 8 to 10 million people who are over the age of 120 were not being used? Do you not think that's a major disruption in their processes? Yes, it is. It's all connected. And the game is get as many in here as possible, flood the court, right? So that the defenses are utterly useless in every regard. And Democrats know this, and they're fighting for them anyway. So I'll tell you this. They're not fighting for them for compassion. They're fighting for power. They're fighting for control. They're fighting for instituting their corrupt utopia onto the United States. Every illegal they protect is a step toward clogging our courts, overwhelming our resources, securing their influence in government. You have to understand the long game that they're playing here. How do they secure their influence in government? Well, you bring in 20 million illegals. You shelter them mostly in sanctuary states, counties, and cities. You spread the rest out to abandoned towns like we saw in Springfield, Ohio. You let this play out. You give them social security numbers. You give them like a Fox sort of reason to be here by pumping out work visas, social security numbers. You have the fraud element. That's why you saw 10, 20 million social security numbers over the age of 120. Guarantee you most of those were being used for nefarious purposes. You do all this rigmarole through your NGOs. You coach these people so you can wash your hands of it. You get kickbacks like we found with Doge. I mean, people, Democrat Party, and some Republicans in the Uniparty, the rhinos, are the most corrupt people that have ever been a part of our nation. And to you, or for you, the puppet, they think the ends justify the means. And if you end up impacted, so be it. So be it, Laken Riley. Okay, sorry. So be it, Jocelyn. So be it, Rachel. They don't see you as a people. They don't see you as people they need to protect. They wouldn't fly to your house to protect you, but they flew to El Salvador to protect their future prospects. And that's why I look at this as fairness to citizens, not to illegals. I have nothing against these people. I know a lot of these folks are just trying to live a better life. A lot, but not most. A lot of them. But Americans come first. My people come first. You cannot fix the world when your home is being demolished. We have to put our people first. Well, anyway, that's all I have for today. Please like, share, subscribe to hear more of The Right Angle, and I'll see you on the next one.